What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. I'm super excited. We have a very unique guest. She is the founder of Prosperous, the School of Self-Realization, a holistic lifestyle leadership program. She also leads a 90-day female and, well, the 90-day female and male leadership program, which is also holistic lifestyle leadership. And she also has a podcast called Prosperous, the podcast, which is very exciting. She's a fellow podcaster. Her name is Sandy Vo, and she's joining us from the New York area. Sandy, thank you for joining us today. Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Thank you so much for having me. I got my tea here and I'm just excited to dive into our wholesome conversation. So I am Sandy. I am daughter of two immigrants, and I am also a meditation teacher, a yogi, a visionary. I founded Prosperous last year after teaching meditation for 7 years. I realized that I needed to put together a body of wisdom for people to navigate in this world, because we live in a world right now where there is so much conflicting information that if you get lost in it, you will lose your mind. And we're seeing that happen. We're seeing increase of depression, mental health. We're seeing families be divided. We're seeing people being further disconnected from their truth. And so I've created programs, retreats within the past 2 years. I've been doing programs for a while, but the core of the teachings have really come about within the past 2 years, where people are really getting the tools for self-transformation, and they're able to find harmony within themselves again while living in this world. So oftentimes we think that if we want to find peace, then we need to eat, pray, love it, and go all the way to India and Thailand or Bali or Costa Rica and find that. But in my eyes, through my journey, I have seen that it is possible for you to be a mom, own a house, pay the bills, have a business, go to your 9-to-5 job, and still attain that level of peace within and not be rocked by the outside world. So we could definitely go into that today.
Yeah, this is Athena. She's sleeping on my lap. She's
So cute. I see her legs up in the air.
I love it. I'm all about that, and I think that there's such a lack there of that type of. We aren't taught to meditate. We aren't taught to do self-care. We are taught to plug in and just do what we're supposed to do like robots, I feel like. And and I've been hearing a lot on Instagram, and a lot of people that I know, like personally, just like there's been an awakening that's been happening around us. Probably a little bit more now in the last year and a half than ever before in history. And that's something that I've been hearing the buzz. I'm not sure if you've been hearing it, but I do feel that it is a lot about people like tapping in more into their like into that peace, that meditative space, and finding that overall well-being, which comes from within. And so I think like what you're offering is more relevant now than ever.
I totally agree with you. It's funny for me because when I first started on this path, going to grocery stores, I never ever saw one magazine that was about mindfulness or meditation. And now you're standing in line at the grocery store and you see multiple, magazines where people are starting to talk more about this. And, I think the reason why is because last year, 2020, was a big hit for so many people. If you worked a 9-to-5 job and your husband did too, you are now home with your husband and your kids, and your entire life has slowed down. You're not going out seeing friends and doing the same things that you've done anymore. There's not as many opportunities for you to escape from what's been sitting inside of you. And so I think what happened for a lot of people were wake ups and also breakups, lots of divorces, a lot of people realizing, wait a second, I've been forcing myself to be in a marriage that doesn't even bring me joy just because I believe in this religion that tells you that you can't, it's a sin, to leave this person, or just because I want to look good to people in the outside world. I think more and more people are waking up to their truth, and they're starting to realize that what is within me and what I desire, and when I open my eyes, what I see, it's not matching up anymore, and I need to do something about it. So a lot more people are going on this inward journey and asking themselves deeper questions, asking themselves, who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? and therefore reevaluating and readjusting the way that they live their life. So it's a really great thing that there's this beautiful awakening that's happening in a way that's really, shaking people up and waking them up more.
I love it. I mean, we have that, then we also have the opposite side of things, and we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, and how some of the stuff that happened last year separated families, and I've experienced that on my side. And so you have these people, you have this group of people that are awakening, they're becoming more in touch, they're being forced to face themselves, and other people that kind of plugged in during everything and just kind of got, I call it brainwashed. And I know not everybody agrees with me. I'm sorry if you're listening, you don't agree. I apologize, but this is a safe space for a lot to speak our truth, and I respect anybody else's viewpoint. But for me personally, I really thought of it, I looked at it as being brainwashed. And I have family members that really bought what they were selling. They drank the Kool-Aid. And all I know is I don't watch regular news because it's all propaganda. You never get the full story. You're only getting the side of the story they want to tell you. But I'll tell you this: I went to go get my nails done, like when things started opening back up here before I got shut down again,
Hmm.
and they had the news on, and it was like boom, boom, like it was just like I'm like, no wonder why people are so freaked out. Like, oh my god, I was getting mad because how are you going to sit here and just tell me the same thing over and over and over and over and over again? Like, you have to you either have to wake up and realize like something's wrong with this message, or you're going to just not even care and you're just going to be a drone and you're just going to take it all in. And unfortunately, I had some family members that did that, and it did create some separation.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to, what you're saying around that. So one of the things that I talk about is that every day when you wake up and you open your eyes, the world is competing for your attention, right? Like you think that your number one currency is money. You think that it's in acquiring all these things, but the number one currency in the world is actually your energy and your attention. So, for example, Instagram and Facebook and all these apps that everyone uses, TikTok, the media, like the news channel, there it has been billions of dollars, millions and billions of dollars pumped into research, pumped into understanding the psychology of humans and how they work, pumped into how to get your attention, pumped into how to speak to you in a way where you feel fear. You literally feel like you have to run to the store and wipe out an entire shelf of toilet paper. And all of this communication that really starts to pump that fear into you. But look at what's happening. They're buying your attention and they're getting it, right? And so I think that the number one thing that inspires me to continue to do what I do, and if not, just to amplify it even more within the past 2 years, is recognizing that there are forces out there that are competing for your attention in a way that brings about fear into your life, and it makes people sick. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've heard people going to the ER because they've worked themselves up to a panic attack, or the amount of times that people literally were so fearful that they became ill. And that's part of what happens when your attention is being bought or tuned into these outer resources, these outer mainstreams of media. And so when I teach meditation and when I teach some of the modalities that I do, it's to take away all the plugs that you have into your devices, into the media, into the programming of what your family members are telling you, into what you've been taught, into even religious backgrounds for a moment, right? It's not to say that any of that is wrong. It's to just take the plugs away from that just for a moment and plug back into yourself. Because within yourself is a level of wisdom, a level of knowledge and intellect that you cannot access anywhere in the world. And when you start learning the tools and modalities to do this at a deeper level, you will begin to question everything. You will begin to wear new lenses on and perceive the world in an entirely different way than you have ever seen it before. And you will respect your attention and you will respect your energy so much more. So it's really just about competing for our attention. And when that happens, there now begins to be friction between family members now, because now, if I'm not tuning into the news, but you are, and the news is telling you this, then there's a chance that if you're watching that every day, the amount of times, right, like a commercial, do
Yeah.
you know how to sing the Allstate song or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what's nationwide song, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you know how to sing that, right? Everyone does. Why? Because they play that over and over and over again. So even if you don't have nationwide insurance, you know that nationwide is on your side,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's that's part of the psychology and the research that's been done into that. And it's the same thing with fear. Like you keep pumping it in and people will keep feeling it. And then there's going to be that divide.
And see, that's okay. I love everything you're saying. You and I, we're on the same page completely. And it's just, this is a great conversation. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Ho, 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 ladies. The holidays came early, not only for you, but for your man here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products that your man will actually use, including their all-new ultra premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Also, this awesome refined cologne. It smells so sexy. My man loves it. I love him wearing it, especially after he's all clean shaven, using the lawnmower 4.0 and trimming those nasty nose hairs and those ear hairs. You know what I'm saying, ladies? It's time to give the man in your life the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. That's right, ladies, 20% off and free shipping with the code LABELFREE20 at manscaped.com. I had a probably awakening a while ago. My husband passed away, and I was forced to restart my life. And it's been a beautiful evolution for me. I have had to go through some ups and downs, and I've had to really just work on myself and do a lot of inner work. And it's I see things much differently now than I ever have in my entire life, much differently. And so for me, like when I went through that, and to go through what we went through last year, and just to be almost where they are force feeding people this fear based media is just what made me so mad. You want to come to us with like facts, and tell us how to take care of ourselves from a mental standpoint, from a healthy standpoint, like take your supplements, drink your water, eat a good diet, exercise. But no, they don't talk about any of that. And so for me, I mean, the mental part is really what bothers me the most, because we are, like you mentioned, mental illness, and that is such on the rise. It's very disturbing
Mhm.
that we're not taught at a younger age. It's something that we should be taught in school, how to take care of ourselves from a mental standpoint, and to feed our soul, feed our mind, feed our bodies like positive things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why, it's helpful to know that it's never too late to get started on that, especially if you just feel like this just feels like too much. Like I can't handle this anymore. I feel so lost and confused. That's when you know that it's a clear sign and direction to go inward. Right. Because if you start looking at your life and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that, then it's a very clear sign that there's actually something within you that's trying to tell you something. And so that's when, you start learning how to slow down, start learning how to understand your body, how to actually breathe in a way that brings in air into your body so that you can think more clearly, so that you can sleep really good at night, so that your intellect is sharp, and so that you don't allow your attention to go wherever it is that it wants to go. You direct it based on your own inner wisdom and what your inner wisdom is guiding you to do. And when I say inner wisdom, I'm talking about that part of you that is connected to all of the universe and to God and to the divine mother, or, whoever you want to call it. We all have that. Jesus says, I and my Father are one, right? So it's the same thing with us. We and our father or our mother, we are one.
Yeah.
And so it's really learning how to reconnect back to that and finding the truth in that. Because, for me, when I had my awakening 8 years ago, the first thing that I did was I got really paranoid. I started to like uncover so many things about,
Right.
society, the water I was drinking, the food I was eating. I started to study everything, and the messaging and the coding and everything. I would look into it, and then I started to want to protect the people around me. So I said, no, 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 don't eat that. Like, don't brush your teeth with that. don't do that. And the
Yeah,
more that I imposed on the people around me, the more that they resisted.
sure.
And, I think you and I, Deanna, what we have in common is that we're both big sisters. And so when you're a big sister, like you just carry a lot of responsibility and you're like a mother. You want to keep people safe, especially since you love them so much. And you've also seen them grow up and all of that.
Yeah,
And so for me, it was just like this innate desire to want to save my family and save the people around me. And I realized through my own journey, and it was more painful to kind of go through that, is that you can never change people by, getting angry and imposing your own beliefs on them. So I started to change my ways. I started to, instead of getting angry on what I saw on the television, I started to go inward and I started to understand, well, what's in here? Like, if this is
yeah,
pissing me off out here, then what's going on in here? And the more I understood it, the more I discovered it, the more full that I felt. And everybody around me felt it too. And they saw it too. So without me having to say anything or do anything, I watched my brother, my sister, my mom, everyone began to shift. So now we move forward to a time in the pandemic now where there's so much information being loaded onto us. Instead of going against each other, we just as a family hold space for each other to share opinions, and we bring each other to the same page, and we become on the same page. That's not with everyone in my family, but there's a level of respect that we have. But it started from this journey of learning how to speak the truth, but also holding space for other people to share their truth, and making those transitions along the way. So I share that because I know that so many people are struggling right now with the divide. There's, the media is constantly going to egg you on to have divide. Are you Republican or are you Democrat? Are you vaccinated or are you not? Right. And based on that, based on what your label is how I'm going to treat you. But
right.
we have to remember that there's an outer agenda, and that the news is also a business platform that is here to buy the number one currency, which is not money, it's your attention. So if you keep remembering that, you have to go back into, well, what feels true for you and how do you take care of yourself? Because no one's looking out for you like the
Yeah.
way that you can look out for yourself.
And so that was beautiful. I love everything that you're saying. And so with everything that you've said, now how do you when I guess when someone comes to that point where they're not aligning with what's inside of them and they realize that, is that when they would turn to you for your guidance and go through one of your workshops or work with you and help you guide them to where they need to be?
Yeah, I find people come to one of my retreats or Prosperous for a few different reasons. Some of them, they're just at a crossroads in their life. They're like, wait a second, I tried to become a doctor or a therapist so that I can help people, so that I can help kids. But, every day I have 23 people that I have to see within one day. I am stressed. I am burnt out. This is not what I signed up for. I can't even give my best. And they're just at this breaking point.
Yeah.
And for some people, they feel like, they've done a lot of the things in the outer world. They've made all the money. They're doing the job that they've always wanted. They have the family, they have the house, but there's a level of fulfillment that isn't there. They look happy. They think they're happy, but there's still something else that's missing inside of them. And those are the people that I see. I also had this one woman that was in her 70s who was like starting her own art for the first time. She was making art out of clay,
Yeah.
jewelry out of clay. And, she just like started crying in one of the workshops, and she said, I'm like, now I'm going to make this art and I'm going to put it out there for the rest of the world to see. And I just turned 72 years old, and it was just so inspiring. But, it doesn't matter where you're at. Everyone comes to this space at a different time in their lives. And it's so universal that, I attract people that are in their early 20s to people that are in their late 70s because of how much potency that they're going to get from being in this program. So when you're feeling like you're at a crossroads in your life, or you're feeling like, wait a second, the life that I'm looking at right now doesn't match with what I feel inside,
Yeah.
or you're just feeling this constant like pressure on you. You can't explain what it is, but there's this heaviness that you're feeling inside and you don't know how to undo it. That's when you know that you're ready for something else, because all that is energy that is suppressed inside of your body. And energy, as we can see, defined by physics, is something that's meant to be in motion, right? It's a law of energy. It's always in motion. And so think about it. If energy is always meant to be in motion, but you're listening to the news and the news is bringing all the fear into your body, all that fear travels to this area of your body, right? Like
Yeah.
this is your root, the root of your body. That's your root chakra. And
Yeah.
all that energy sits right here. So people, what do? They clench their buttholes, right? Like they're
Yeah.
literally getting constipated. They're running to the store, and the first thing that they grab is toilet paper. It's literally just holding all of their energy right there.
Yeah.
And now they're really pent up. Now they're really tense, and their entire bodies are tense. And so what we do in Prosperous is we give that energy a place to go so that it doesn't stay stuck in your body. And we do that through breathing practices, subtle movements that are super gentle, and also just expression. So however you're meant to express yourself, we really make space for people to do that so that they can allow that energy to be freed and not so pent up.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I could talk to you for hours. Sandy, where can people find you if they want to reach out and maybe join one of your retreats or listen to your show?
Yeah, so you can find me on sandyvo.com. All, my social media, my podcast, YouTube, everything is on there, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more.
Awesome. And I will put all those links in the show notes so you guys can access her right away. Because if you are feeling stuck, you definitely need to go reach out to her, listen to her show, and figure out how to get unstuck, because it's for your better good and for the whole
Mhm.
world.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom or advice for the audience before we say goodbye?
Hmm. Take your time. Take your time to heal. Take your time to feel. This is your journey. There's a very special rhythm that you're meant to walk, and you're meant to march to the beat of that rhythm, not anything else in the outer world. So don't let the world rush you. Don't let the world bring fear into you. Inside of you is a wealth. It is a deep ocean of joy and love and peace, and it's so beautiful. And all of that is meant to be uncovered. So take your time to actually do that, and you will find those parts within yourself.
Mm. Oh my gosh, love it. That was beautiful. Take your time. Amen to that, especially when we're go, 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 go. It's all
Mm.
about the journey, not the destination, because at the end of the day, we all have a reservation we can't cancel. You might as well enjoy the journey while as you're going, right?
Ooh, that was so good. At the end of the day, we all have a reservation that we can't cancel.
Oh,
Yes.
that's for my best friend. She says it all the time, but she said that to me many years ago, and I was just like, dang, girl, that was good. So I use it now. I'm like, I'm taking that.
Well,
But
thanks to your best friend for that
yeah,
beautiful
thank you,
message.
Julie,
Yep.
for sharing that. But Sandy, it's been an absolute honor talking to you. This was a great conversation. I just love the way it flowed, and you have a lot of really good wisdom. And I'd love to have you back, because I think that we need to push stuff like this out there.
Of
It's
course.
for the greater good.
Yes, and thank you so much for just sharing your heart and really important things that people can relate to, like family and dividing and everything. You're such a great host, and I love the questions that you asked. I thought that it was so dense and potent,
Yeah,
and we were able to share a lot within a very small amount of time. So thank you for that space.
you're welcome. We're gonna do it again. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kumpel, with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.